sitzen sich immer dahin. Sie sind immer allein und so.
Und die anderen, wie gehen die mit denen um?
So, die schreien auf die, wir treten die laufen rum, wenn sie die sehen, geben die einfach schnell so aus Spaß.
Wir sind eine Gruppe. Und wehren die sich, die Deutschen?
Nein, wir haben Angst.
So, und wir vermehren uns immer mehr. Ihr Deutschen kriegt ja keine Kinder. Ihr kriegt höchstens, wenn es hochkommt, 2 Kinder. Wir machen 7, 8, Alhamdulillah. Okay, Kollege? Und dann nehmen wir uns auch nochmal 4 Frauen, dann haben wir 22 Kinder. So macht Allah Azza wa Jal, der allmächtige Gott, macht das so, dass wir euch erobern, nicht mit Krieg hier in Deutschland, sondern mit Geburtenraten, erstens. Und zweitens, wir heiraten eure Töchter. Ja? Und deine Tochter wird Kopftuch tragen. Und deine Tochter wird einen Bärtigen heiraten.
Boza, cheers. Take me a picture blind, yeah, bitch. Kiss.
Their final destination, ordinary German men and women stood here and applauding them. Extraordinary. People handing them water. Welcome to Germany. How do you feel?
CBN News went to Oslo. We went to investigate reports that nation's experiment with Muslim immigration and multiculturalism had gone terribly wrong. That Muslim radicalism was growing, along with violence and intimidation against non-Muslims. Some on Norway's left call the fear of Islamization a conspiracy theory. But the victims of Islam are real, and they are mostly Norway's women. Something else that Muslim immigration appears to have brought to Norway is what some here call a rape epidemic. Recent police statistics showed that in the capital of Oslo, 100% of assault rapes between strangers were committed by immigrant non-Western males, and 9 out of 10 of their victims were native Norwegian women. Some blonde Norwegian women have reportedly begun dyeing their hair black, and many travel only in groups.
White women of childbearing age are only 2% of the world's population.
Yet we are encouraged to breed outside of our race.
Or forfeit having children altogether.
White women are attacked just for walking down the street.
1 in 4 Swedish women will be raped in her lifetime. And she's not being raped by other Swedes.
Basically, the US is providing these flows for us. You make war and we get the refugees. So,
The United Nations report says Sweden will be a third world nation in about 15 years, below Libya and Bulgaria.
We are taught by Jewish feminists that motherhood is oppressive and that we need to leave the house to go work in a cubicle, a strip club, or wait tables for mindless consumers and serve anyone but our own family.
This is freedom from oppression?
Of people who are essentially asking the question, if the political establishment continues to get its way, in 5, in 10, in 20 years' time, how many Germans are going to be left in Germany? How many French people are going to be left in France? How many English people are going to be left in England?
If test scores in Swedish schools are plummeting, or if crime in some areas has skyrocketed.
I hope all of them, and everyone else across Britain, will reflect on the universal values that Ramadan represents, and the contribution that British Muslims make to our country.
1,400 children over a period of 16 years. Children being raped, trafficked, beaten, and sometimes doused in petrol. All the perpetrators were of Pakistani heritage.
Ramadan Mubarak to you all.
London has got so ethnically diverse that white Britons are now a minority here.
White families in Birmingham are set to become a minority group for the first time.
The country's most rapidly growing demographic is Muslim,
with Mohammed now the most popular name for baby boys in London.
Victory in Europe. VE Day.
We may allow ourselves a brief period of rejoicing.
You used to be a Trotskyist for a while.
Certainly was. Yeah.
You were in the International Socialists, which, for people who don't know, is the forerunner of the Socialist Workers' Party. And this was more than a flirtation. You were a true believer for a while.
Oh, very much so, yeah. I thought that Marxism and Leninism had pretty much the answer to the problems of the world, yeah.
How do you look back at that now, given where you
Well, it was a reasonable mistake to have made. Unlike people who've been vaccinated against a disease, I've actually had the disease, and therefore I'm totally immune from it in a way that a mere vaccination couldn't possibly provide.
People, again, you call yourself a moral and social conservative, and unapologetically so, but you're not a Tory. In fact, you're very hostile to the modern Tories.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it calls itself the Conservative Party. If it called itself the Socialist Workers' Party, I wouldn't have anything against it. Got much more in common with the SWP than it has with Conservatives.
Do you think the...
In fact, I often hear David Cameron and George Osborne coming out with things which I used to say when I was a trot. In fact, I often hear David Cameron and George Osborne coming out with things which I used to say when I was a trot.
All the big companies have already had great success just gaming the system and taking away sovereignty by way of NAFTA. NAFTA is very weak where it comes for a foreign entity's right to come in and change the sovereign law. But already we've seen the oil companies force people in Canada that said, you know, we don't want you drilling in our backyard. They've been forced, they've been sued, and the legislation that prevents that drilling has been thrown to the side. Same way with fracking. Same way with pricing of pharmaceuticals. This is a complete takeover of what we hold so dearly, and that's the right for us to be able to govern ourselves, Tom.
Comey and the FBI, Deputy Director John Brandon at ATF. We're going to hire more folks to process applications faster, and we're going to bring an outdated background check system into the 21st century.
Every sheriff in these states told Obama, you come into our state and into our county, we will declare war on you. You send federal agents to disarm our constituents in our county, we will arrest you. I am one of the most avid anti-communists in the United States of America because I understand the enemy. Not only who they are, but what they are, what they have done, and what they're planning to do. Now, a lot of you may not like me, but you see, I don't care. I love America. I love the Republic. And I know that Jewish communism is the internal enemy of we, the United States of America, and we, the people. Because the people smell a rat, and it's a two-legged rat, and it's a Jew communist rat inside of America. Before you can really understand sometime what is really going on around you, you've got to go back into history, the time, the place, the pictures, and the events thereof, to understand what's really going around you now. The Ukraine had a record harvest. They had so much food, they didn't know what to do with it. But they couldn't have any, because the Jews wouldn't let them eat it, and they starved 9 to 10 million Ukrainians to death when they had food all around them, and if the Ukrainians tried to eat any, they were either clubbed to death, bayoneted, or shot to death. And Stalin took the food and the other leaders and they sold it on the world market to make money. If you wore a cross, you died. If you were caught with the Bible, you were put to death. And then they even tried to force the white Christian Russians to speak Yiddish for 2 years, trying to make it that language of white Russia. The Germans knew all about this secret Holocaust, and they didn't want it to happen to them. And what happened in White Russia, the White Russians were partial Prussian German. And that was their ancestors that these Jews did it to. This was the greatest Holocaust that you can imagine, second only to the Holocaust in the United States of 50 million aborted babies. And they are planning the same identical overthrow and genocide in the United States as they did against the white Christian Russians in 1917. But they just haven't got the guts yet. Lock and load. Suck it up. We have an enemy in the land. And they will not take this nation. So help me God.